Okay, so we are looking at roots and radicals. Hold on, let me get back to that. It's being weird. Okay, roots and radicals for the next few days in both geometry and algebra 2. So you're gonna you can use a book in the back of the room if you need to, but I'll put this on the video, and you can see in the book. Let me find it. This is going to be in the Algebra 2 book, Chapter 6, which those of you who are in geometry, why are you doing this? You're only doing the first sheet, and it's basic, like square roots and simplifying, which is something you should learn in Algebra 1, but you didn't. So some of the questions that are the fill in the blank, like nth root is one of the answers. Then let's see if you need to use that. I know here's some more. This little picture would help. There's the radical sign. This number is the index. The number under the root is called the radicand. And Algebra 2, you're going through some of this, or you did on Monday and Tuesday. So that should help you. You can also probably look it up on the internet, but I think that's several of the words. Just a hint, numbers like the square root of 24, the square root of 2, the square root of 96, those are all irrational numbers. Perfect squares are numbers like the square root of 4. Okay, it has a rational square root, so that's a perfect square. So again, I think I just answered most of those for 1 through 8. Now let me teach you just a recap for Algebra 2 and a lesson for geometry. How do you find square roots? The first thing that I would write down if I were you is all the perfect squares. And it's not just square roots. We're also looking at cube roots, maybe fourth roots. But let me look at perfect squares. And I would write this, if I were you, on my paper, like 1 is a perfect square, square root of 1 is 1. 4 is a perfect square, the square root of 4 is 2. So 9 is a perfect square because of 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7. Oh my gosh, I skipped one. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9, 10 times 10, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times 11, 12 times 12, and we could keep going, okay? If you need to do more, you can. For those of you, let's see, it looks like most of these are just square roots. There's a couple at the bottom that might be cube, fourth roots, or fifth roots. Sometimes the calculator can help you if they are perfect squares. It looks like a lot of these are. It's the third page where it might get you. So let's see, perfect cubes. All right, and we won't write as many of these because they grow faster, like exponentially. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the third power. So 8 is a perfect cube. 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 to the third, is 27. 4 to the third is 64, so that's a perfect cube. 5 to the third, 6 to the third, and 7 to the third. I think that's 343. Yeah, and then maybe I'll do one more, 8 to the third. So those are perfect cubes. And then you could keep going. You could even find things to the fourth power. So some of them are easy. You can do these on your calculator. If it's like the negative square root of 25, then that is -5. Okay, if it's weird and it has plus or minus the square root of 16, then that is plus or minus 4. That means it could be a positive or negative. So those may look funny. Now, you can't have a negative under a square root. So if you do, say that you have a negative 25, for those of you in geometry, you can leave that blank. You haven't learned what that is yet. Those of you in Algebra 2, you know that that's going to be 5i. Where did the I come from? The negative under there. It becomes an I. Says it's an imaginary number. Geometry, y'all don't know that yet. Let's see. You can press the buttons on your calculator. You can figure out how to do roots. And, okay, you cannot do the square root of a negative. However, you can do the cube root of a negative. Let's look at y. Let's do the cube root of negative 8. Well, what times what is 8? 2 times 2 times 2. And in this case, all of them are negative. A negative times a negative times a negative is still a negative. So that would be your answer. Okay, and you can type that in on your calculator. If you type this in on your calculator, nothing. You're going to get error, okay? Because you cannot take a square root of a negative number. You can take an odd root of a negative number. You cannot take an even root of a negative number. Anyway, some of these should be pretty basic, I think, on 1 through 15. Then you get into... Where's number 16? That's weird. I guess, oh, there it is up there. Then you get to number 17, and let's see. Oh, sorry, and even on my Algebra 2, it says on here that you can write does not exist as a real number. So you don't even have to deal with i's. We're not doing i's right now. Okay, so if it has a square root of a negative, these don't work. Let me just do a quick little recap. Okay, square root of a negative, fourth root of a negative. I don't even know if that's going to work, but anyway, sixth root of a negative. Okay, that's not even going to work. But anyway, let's just pretend they did. You cannot take an even root of a negative number. These are no real solutions, okay? These are all imaginary numbers, so you can't get an answer. What you can get an answer for is odd roots of negative numbers. Those do have solutions, okay? You can find those answers, all right? Because a negative times a negative times a negative can be a negative, okay? All right, now let's take a little bit of a different route, and let's look at numbers that are not perfect squares. This is what you made that list for earlier. Let's pretend that I had the square root of 26. Okay, I don't think that one's on your paper. Now, not a perfect square. Type that in your calculator. You're going to give me a decimal, and I'm not going to mark it right. Not right. Okay, so this one is an irrational number because it's not a perfect square. And now we need to simplify. So you're going to look back at your list. What times what is 26? Well, you've got, I meant to put 24. I don't know what I think I put the 6. Sorry. Square root of 24 is what I meant to put. Okay, so what times what is 24? You got 8 times 3, but is 8 a perfect square? No. Let's try another number. How about 4 times 6? 4 is a perfect square, so I am going to use that one. So watch. I'm going to write that as 4 times 6. What's the square root of 4? 2. When you take the square root, you move that number out. So you get 2 square root of 6. This is your answer. This one is irrational, and this 2 square root of 6, that's what it looks like simplified. Let's do the square root of 75. Okay? So this one is also irrational. It is not a perfect square. So I'm going to write the word irrational. And what times what is 75? I'm hoping everybody automatically thought 25 times 3, okay? Because 25 is on our square root list. So, and I'm thinking, yeah, we're sticking to square roots right now. So square root of 25. What is the square root of 25? 5. And then here's our square root of 3. Both of these would be my answer. Okay, you might have, what's the square root of 0.36? Okay, this one, when did that come on here? I don't even know when that came on. Computer's doing something crazy. Okay, the square root of 0.36, this one is a perfect square. So I'm gonna write, okay, the square root of 0.36. Let's see, this one is a rational number because I can find the square root of 0.36. First of all, what's the square root of 36? 6. So the square root of 0.36 is 0.6. And that's a rational number. These, where you can't finish taking the square root, those are irrational. Okay, now let's go to cube roots, because this is where, make sure you're checking, does it have a square root where it looks like these? Or what if it has a cube root on there? Okay, so let's do the cube root of, I'm trying to find one. Oh, 81, here we go, 81. That is a square root. We cannot look at our squares, all right? What number might go into 81? Let's look at my cube root column. So what of these goes into 81? I'm thinking 27 does. Let me just see. What is 81 divided by 27? Does that work? Yes, it does. It's 3. So instead of writing 81, I'm going to write the cube root of 27 times 3. And again, this is irrational. Okay? So what is the cube root of 27? What times what times what? If you needed to write it down, like this is 1 to the third, this is 2 to the third, 3 to the third, 4 to the third, 5 to the third, and so on. Sometimes these little things just help. Okay, so what is 27? The cube root of 27, it's 3. So I get 3 cube root of 3. That's my answer, and it's irrational. So these are a little bit more difficult. What if I had, let's see. And some of these, you'll just need to do like a trial and error. Like their number, I'll do a cube root one again, 24. Their number 24 on your paper, okay? It's got the cube root of 168. I have no idea what number goes into 168. So this is what I would do. I would try this. Obviously, it's not any of those. Let me try 64. 168 divided by 64. Nope. 168 divided by 27. No. 168 divided by 8. Oh, there it is. It's 8 times 21. Okay, so I'm doing the cube root of 8 times 21. Because 8, you can take the cube root. What is the cube root of 8? It's 2. So my answer is 2, and then you put what's left over. Cube root of 21. And that one is irrational. That's your number 24. Okay, you can, like, you're more than welcome to try and type these in. You can do math. Look, there's a cube root right there. Number 4 is a cube root. Let me do 168. Nope. So see, if you put that answer down, I'm going to mark that wrong because it wants, oh, this one does say find the root exactly, and then it says find it to the nearest thousandths using a calculator, which I don't want that part. I just want the exact part. I don't want all those answers. I don't need the decimal, okay? Let's look at their number 13. That one has a fifth root of negative 32. That's how you would say that, Okay, so if I do math, I don't see a fifth root, right? So I'm going to go to number 5, and mine, I type it in. The fifth root of negative 32. Let's see what happens. Does it give me an answer? Yay, it does. Okay, this one is rational, so I can just put my answer down. It's negative 2. Okay, some of your calculators are not as new as this one. You have to press the number 5, then press math and go to this, okay? You have to do that step first. So some of them you can always try and type them in on your calculator and it will give you an answer. Just be careful with negatives and positives.
May I have your attention, please? I need all shuttle bus to the front.
And again, a negative on the outside is fine. Like they have one similar to this, okay? Oh, you can't see that. Here we go. One similar to this. Negative on the outside is fine. Cannot take the negative of a square root. So on this one, what did it say in our instructions? Does not exist. Does not exist. Okay, so that's what I'm going to write. If it had this, that does exist. It's negative. And what's the square root of 36? 6. Okay, so you're just kind of practicing some square roots and a few more things. For the Algebra 2 class, you're going to go a step up from this tomorrow. There will be a little bit more to it, so just make sure that you're okay with these. Try to simplify them. No decimals on this paper. Okay, I want exact solutions. All right.